Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and today I have a very special guest for you, Mr. Tyler Downey, Treasurer Secretary of SEIU Union. And Tyler, I want to say a special welcome to my channel, and I would like for you to say hello to my viewers.
How you doing, everyone? Thanks for having me, Kelly. Glad to be a part of the show with you.
Of course. And Tyler, I just want to do a small disclaimer. Anything and everything that I'm about to say is on me. It's totally me. Tyler has nothing to do with it. I'm going to put him on the spot. I hope that he will be able to answer my questions. But yeah, that's my disclaimer. Tyler,
Yes.
I want you to know that I'm going to ask you a bunch of things.
Okay.
If you don't feel comfortable in answering, it's quite okay.
Well, I came here to talk, so, just fire away.
Well, that's great. That's great. So, Tyler, it's okay I call you Tyler, right?
Of course.
Okay. So, Tyler, I want you to tell my viewers a little bit about yourself, who you are,
Okay.
what you do, how you feel about what you're doing.
Okay. I'm Tyler Downey. I was born in Regent Park. When we moved from Regent Park, we moved to Jane and Finch, the north side of Jane. Lived with my mom and my stepdad for a while. They had a very abusive relationship, so he left pretty early. My dad left when I was 8. So we lived in Jane and Finch for maybe about 12, 15 years, 12, 15 years. But we lived on the whole Jane Strip. So from like Jane and Shoreham to Jane and Finch to Jane and Chalk Farm to Falstaff to Woolner, right? So the whole strip.
I got that.
Right? And so growing up, it was like, you get exposed to everything, right? But you get exposed to the real life of toughness and poverty. And so that's what it was like growing up. My mom, struggled a lot. So I come from like a struggle, a deep struggle. I have a healthcare family, so my 2 aunts are RPNs. My aunt is a PSW for home care right now, so she's still doing it. And so I come from a healthcare family. I come from a family that struggled for a long time. I come from a place where, the environment was drugs, gangs, and everything that you can think of that was negative. And so what I'm doing now, I think, fits into where I came from. And, I'm happy what I'm doing now. I think, working in healthcare, but also fighting for like justice for workers is important, and I think fits into the struggle that I realized as a kid. So that's a little bit about me.
That's much about you. So, Tyler, with all that being said, I'm just going to ask you, would you mind kind of explaining to my audience, what is your role in the union?
Yeah. So I do, so I'm the treasurer. So as part of being the treasurer, I oversee all the finances of the union. But I also oversee the programs and manage budgets and, work with the president to ensure that the union is in good financial health. So it's a lot of the programs, a lot of the education, a lot of the campaigns, and making sure that those are accountable, and we work with our executive board to get things passed. The treasurer is pretty straightforward. You manage the finances, you make sure the operations of the organization is in sound condition, and you can strive in any sort of environment. That's kind of what I do. Yeah.
Sounds really exciting, Tyler, and sound like a big responsibility.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Well, dealing with money, of course, it's going to be a lot of work. So the question that I want to ask you also is, from your knowledge, are you the first colored person to hold such a prestigious position in that particular union?
Yeah. I think I'm the first Black one to hold this position in the union. The union Local 1, which is the local, has been a local since 2003, I believe. So it's about 18 years. So
18 years.
I got appointed to the position in 2018, September 2018, and then I got elected at the convention 2019, November.
And congratulations to that. And I can't help but to ask, why you?
I mean, I've been with SEIU for 15 years. I've come through the ranks, so I know the organization from front to back, from middle to sideways. I know everything about the organization. I know about organizing. I know about the members. I know about the different sectors, the pensions, the benefits. So there's so many things outside of just like representing the members, which is the core of what we do. But there's so many other elements that need to be understood, right? There's how to understand the benefits and making sure that you negotiate or you manage your benefits, how to understand the pensions, because there's a push to get rid of traditional pension plans. So like the nursing home pension plan, and I'm a trustee on that plan. We just started up the My 65 plan for our members who don't have access. So it's those type of things that people don't know that I necessarily am involved with, but it's part of the work, right? So,
it is, and I must say it's a good initiative also, because I mean, none of us are gonna stay young forever.
That's right.
So we need to know that there is something in place for when we get to that point, right?
That's right.
So Tyler, I just want to ask, and I'm sorry if I'm going to be like dwelling on the color thing, but for me, I'm excited. I'm elated to see that somebody that I can identify with is holding such a rank, right? So I want to ask you that, like, what do you see yourself doing differently in the sense that a man of color, especially in this climate, in this godforsaken climate?
Yeah, I mean it's a good question, Kelly, because I won't lie, there was a lot of pressure on me. I'll be very honest. When I got appointed in 2018, I felt a lot of pressure, and the prayer warriors were out there, right? Because I know there was a lot of people praying for me. I know there was a lot of people wanting that thing to happen for me. And so that pressure was here. And, it was only God and my mom and the prayers that got me through it, because there's been a lot of times where I probably didn't want to do this work anymore, right? Because of the stress and, the folks that wanted to suppress me over time.
Of course.
Right? In the union. And, there was a lot of times where it was like, do I give up or do I just keep trying to battle through it? The racism was real.
Of course.
Right?
And it is still present.
It's still
even
present.
Today.
But I think, like, for me being in this position, one is I don't take it lightly. So every day is a serious day and I don't slack. But it's, how do I make sure I set a good example for like young Black people looking up to me and saying, all right, that guy's up there, maybe I can do that one day, or maybe I can do something similar. Right?
It's so weird that you take it to that place, because that's what I was going to ask you, that how are you making a difference to the younger generation? Do you have anything in place per se, like some kind of, any kind of program where the union could see the Black youths out there, or any young person for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it starts with my son. When my dad left at 8, and so I was like, that's not gonna be me.
Of course not. You're trying to break that chain, right?
Yeah, so I only have one, and so I mean, for me, I put like everything into my son, and so it was like, he got a scholarship to go to the U.S. to play soccer, full scholarship. He worked his ass off to do that, and it was just teaching him like, you gotta work.
I know.
And now he has his business. He was just in LA last year. And so he's like spreading the word to like thousands of students to show them, hey, there's a way that you can make it happen. And so for me, that's where it starts from, right? It's setting the example there.
Yeah. So, and I'm trying to, I'm trying to navigate everything. I'm trying to fit everything that I feel that I want to get in. Because right now you talk about your son, and like I have a son, and so I want to know if there is a mentorship program or anything like that you could put out there right now to my young viewers or mothers or fathers that are watching us right now.
Yeah, so I mean, before I joined the union, I was the executive director of a nonprofit. It was a youth nonprofit in Jane and Finch. And what we did was we had like a mentoring program. And I was there for about 4 years. I was the executive director. And so part of what I still do to this day, and again, I don't talk about it because it's one of those things you just do it. As I mentor like young people. So I have 3 or 4. One guy, he's off and on, you know, so he'll call me twice a year to check in. It's like, all right, I'm not going to pressure anybody to call me, right?
Of course.
But the other guys, you know, one guy has a business. He's just opening up down at Dundas, Bloor West Village. And I've been his mentor probably 20 years now, you know, 15, 20 years. Like he's been on me. So, you know, it's those type of things I do outside of the union, within the union confines. You know, I think we can think about what that looks like. We're not there yet. I think there's opportunity to do that in a more deep way, but it's not there yet, you know?
Because as you said, the prior warriors were out there and your mom and all of these, you know, and I can't help but to think that, yes, you were appointed in 2018, but you got elected 2019, right? So, I mean, I'm just wondering if, talk to the people out there who have elected you, and I want you to tell them, like, that, do you feel that you have been a disappointment to them, or do you feel that you're holding yourself up to their expectations? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think, so one, during the last year, 15 months, I know it's been extremely difficult for so many people, right? And I have not taken that for granted at all. Every day is about like, okay, how can we think about doing more and doing better and being there for people? Kelly, if I tell you, every day, I probably talk to 3 to 4 members every day, and I just check in. Hey, how's it going? Whether it's a text or a phone call, right? And so I remember one of our members, and you know her. I'm not going to say her name. One of our members, when I got appointed in 2018, we all went out for lunch. There was an event going on somewhere. We all went, and there was a bunch of us. And that one member told me, and it stuck with me, right? Don't change. She said, don't change. I hope you don't change, right? And I looked at her and I was like, I don't plan on changing. I plan on improving and getting better, but I don't plan on changing my approach. And I know what she meant. Being in the space where you understand what's going on with the people that you're serving, right? And that's where I think I do a really good job of, because I stay connected. I'm not in the nursing home, but I know what's going on in the nursing home. I'm not in home care, but I know and I feel what's going on in the home care for the home care workers, right?
Because your union actually do serve different sectors,
That's
right?
That's right.
So you want to put it out there, you guys serve like the home care,
retirement homes, nursing homes, paramedics, hospital members, community services.
So you got your hands full because you were a union of 60,000 members,
That's right?
So I don't want to seem like, I don't want to be bad to you or anything like that, but I can't help to say that as a male, serving a predominantly dominated female profession, how can you relate to what they're going through as a male?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think whether you're male or female, it's about listening, and it's about really taking in what people are saying to you and moving on some things, right, to make and improve their lives. And if you're not doing that, you're not doing your job. And so while I might not be the PSW or the RPN or the dietary aide that's sweating, that's getting shitted on by their boss. Sorry for the language. But
that is okay. We can say what we want to say right here.
All right. But you know what I mean? Like getting their butts beaten every day. I understand it. And so know how to help them through it, right? So even though I'm not there and I'm not that one in the position, my role is to guide and direct and make sure that there's infrastructure and programs in place to support members, right? That's my role, but also understand what they go through so that when I speak from it, it's not like from this place of ambiguity or, well, I know what they're going through because I talk to them all the time.
That's good.
Right.
Do you feel that the position that gotten, like, I mean, you were appointed, then you were elected, right? Do you feel that the position that you hold now, do you feel that you're placed there to appease anyone?
I thought about that at the beginning, I thought about, because I don't like the tokenism thing. I never wanted to be like seen as like the token person. And at times in the union, I felt like that. But I think I've gotten past that now because I feel like when I think about that, I discount the value that I bring to the organization. And I think that was an intentional thing that used to happen to me. Like people actually intentionally wanted me to feel like a token. But I knew I always brought value from day one. The moment I stepped into the union in 2006, I knew what I was bringing. And I knew that I was bringing a perspective that was missing from the union. And I was bringing a grassroots, if you will, perspective to the union. The union's changed from 2006 to now. It's a completely different union. The faces, the people, I mean, I'm one part of that, but the whole organization has changed. If you saw it 2006 to now, you wouldn't recognize the union. And so I don't think it's about appeasement. I think it's for me to just own the space that I've been given, and I've earned it. Like, I know I've earned it. So I know what I've done to get here. You know what I mean? And so at times I did feel like there was tokenism, and then I was like, let's put him there so we have a black guy there. I don't feel that way now.
So then when it comes to decision making, or when it comes to, bringing ideas or anything around that nature, do you feel that your hands are tied in any way, shape, or form?
No, it's the opposite. I mean, I'm privileged to work with Charlene, who's our president, and she has ideas. And the reason why I stuck with Charlene over these years is because of her sincerity and her genuinity. Like, she's really genuine. She really cares about the people, and that aligns with my values. And so we don't agree on everything, but it's very minimal times that we disagree, right? We have the same perspective. We have the same view. We might have different approaches, but it's very rare that we disagree on an approach to take when it comes to the members. And so I've got a lot. Look at the app. Like, literally, I went away last year in June. We went up north to do that northern trip to see our members up there. We came back. I think I talked to Charlene, I don't know, sometime in July, September, August. In September, we got the approval to do the app, and now we have an app as of like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And so
I know, yeah.
it's those things where it's like, it makes sense. We have a debate, we discuss how we're gonna do it, we plan it out, and then we move. And that's what I mean is different in the union now versus what it was before.
So I want to switch gears for a bit here.
Okay.
And let's just, we can't help but to acknowledge that we are in the pandemic still, even though I feel like the government is acting like it's not a big of a crisis as it is, So I want to ask you, like, what have you guys been doing over the past year for your members?
Yeah, we've been doing a lot. I think there's probably different layers of doing. There's the government relations work, right? That's probably like front and center of the work that's been going on. And you've seen it from day one. Like, we were the leading union. You've seen the news conferences. It was SEIU who was being asked the questions on the media. So that's like the first sign to think about in terms of what we were doing. The second thing is all the things that happen in the background that nobody really knows about. It's the phone calls every week. So like, I was on the phone the other day with the Ministry of Community Services and Social Work talking about the death that happened at New Leaf the other day. Nobody hears about those things, but we're talking to the ministries, we're talking to government, we're basically telling them what our members are telling us. That happens so much, Kelly, so much. It's like a daily occurrence. And Charlene, more than me, but it's daily, it's weekly, right? And so that's the advocacy piece. So when folks like our members say, well, the union's not doing anything, it's because we don't...
Well, you
Right.
jump ahead of me.
I'm
because
sorry, okay,
this is the question that I was going to ask you, like, in terms of, when, and I'm sure I'm going to say your members got the $5 increase as pandemic pay, and then it was taken away, and then they got the $3 increase, but basically, I'm going to use the word that it was segregated.
Yes.
It was only geared towards your PSW, and they have to fit a certain mold, right? So I want you to tell the viewers out there that is watching right now, how did you feel about just the PSWs getting, certain PSWs getting the $3 and not every frontline worker in every one of your sectors? Like,
So we should just be clear from the beginning. We said all healthcare workers deserve premium pay, pandemic pay, emergency, whatever you wanted to call it. We were saying that from the beginning. So that was our position from the beginning. Are we happy that PSWs got the latest increase? Absolutely. Everybody should be happy for that. In my personal view, this is not a union view, this is a personal view, it was political, right? It was a political decision to give only PSWs. And I'm going to break it down for you.
I'm going to stop because I'm going to ask you, when you say political decision, political, break it down to somebody like me who don't really, make it short and sweet.
Let me break it down piece by piece. So here's how politics works in a way, okay? The government, every day they're looking at stats and they're looking at the polls to see where they are. Do people like us? Do people not like us? Which people like us? Which people don't like us? That's happening every day and you would never know, okay? So they look at those stats and everything and they say, okay, we got to make a decision. We can't give it to everybody. Which group can we give it to that we're going to get the most for ourselves, right? So they look at it and say, okay, well, we know there's a lot of RNs or nurses out there. Well, they're making $50 already, so they're probably okay. The RPNs, well, we really haven't heard much from the RPNs yet, so they're not loud enough yet, so maybe they don't really care as much as the other groups. Then you go to the PSWs, which makes up half of healthcare, and they say, whoa, wait a minute, this is an opportunity for us. If we give it to them, the numbers are on our side, right? Now we can maybe get some support from this group. Dietary aides, recreation aides, physiotherapists, small groups, not really saying much, not really. So they look at those things, Kelly. That's how they break it down. And they say, which group do we need to really appease? So when you say appease, that's what they've done, is they appease one group, hoping that that group is going to be the group that gets them the election.
So
that's how I look at it.
I you know what? As you're breaking it down, I'm going to say this because I did a live the other day. So if you're saying that PSW makes up half of it, right? Why is it that you only have PSW day? Why you don't have PSW week, since PSW makes up half of it?
Well, the thing was, PSW day, I mean, I'll give you the history because I was part of the PSW day creation. It was really home care workers at the time. It wasn't long-term care PSWs, it wasn't hospital PSWs, it was really home care workers that were lobbying heavily to scream out the issues that they were facing as PSWs in home care. That's where it started from. And so they were lobbying. I remember going down to Queen's Park with our members, lobbying, telling them about what they actually do in home care as PSWs. And that's when the government said, okay, well, we need to recognize these individuals and these workers. And they didn't say nothing about long-term care. It wasn't about hospitals. It was about home care PSWs. That's why PSW Day came out. That's how it started, right? So it wasn't a PSW week where it was like all PSWs got together and made this like claim. It was PSWs in home care that just had enough. They were low-waged, $12.50 an hour.
But you know what? And I don't mean to interrupt you, but okay, fine. If it was the home care PSWs were making the big hurrah, right? then why is it that now they're saying that they're not identified like as essential? Like, why is it that they're saying that? Basically, it's like they want to say they're not really necessary. If they were the ones who were making the noise back then to make it PSW Day, why is it that they're being neglected now?
Well, here's the thing about politics. Another thing about politics, right? I'm gonna share with you what a friend of mine who's worked in politics all his life. I asked him one year when I was in the union at the beginning, when we started doing our political work. I asked him, "How do you actually know what issue to pay attention to? Like, what's the threshold for you guys at your constituency office?" And he goes, "It's a good question, Tyler, because we have so many issues that we have to like try to figure out how do we like pay attention to that over there or this over here." And he goes, "The moment we see that there's more than 25 people in our ride-in that have this issue, that's when we pay attention. Anything less than that, it's kind of like, oh, okay, we'll see if it becomes something bigger." But he said 25 is the threshold for them, right? So if you think about it, when you think about all of the lobbying that you have to do, especially as a union like ours, who has so much sectors, right? And you gotta like pivot all the time, and you're like, okay, well, today's home care, and then tomorrow's hospitals, and then long-term care because we're bargaining, and right? If you don't keep that constant pressure up, Kelly, whether you're a home care worker or an RPN or a PS, it fades away, right? And they forget.
And that's what I am so like really worried about, that now that the vaccine is in effect. I mean, I'm going to ask you as a black up there person that holds such a high rank in your union. I mean, have you been vaccinated?
No.
You haven't been vaccinated, okay. So when the government or when the folks out there ask, what is the hesitancy of vaccination in the black circle, community, what would you like to let them know? I want to know, why haven't you been vaccinated? They haven't reached your age yet. I mean, they're at 12. Are you about 5? I'm just asking, just putting it out there because I want to know why.
I have
it's a personal preference.
It's a personal preference, right? And I think everybody has a choice to make for themselves. I'm already immune compromised, and so like I've got that to think about, and I'm like, okay, like it's some trial that I read online, and there's so much stuff going on that I really don't know.
When you talk about the misinformation and the disinformation,
that's right?
right?
And so like for me, in my system, because I'm already compromised and I go to therapy like 3 times a week, and I'm already thinking about like, oh, okay, do I need something in my system that's like foreign to me, that I don't really know? So that's me personally, right? But I think, I don't know. I try to like look at it from this perspective, Kelly. If a drug company needs special immunity for a drug, I don't want that. When I heard that from the beginning of the pandemic, where there was a special immunity for these drug companies that they were seeking from these countries, I was like, okay, hold on. Let me think twice about that. So that was me personally.
Yeah, that's
right?
You personally, but I mean, like I'm the type of person who believes that what I don't want for myself, I don't want to give it to others, and yet still, the union is sending it out there that you should be vaccinated, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody like me, I'm going to hold out because as you said, you're compromised already.
Yeah.
A lot of black folks, we don't even want to go to the doctor because we don't want to hear that we have something that we need to worry about, because most of the time it's not the illness that puts you out, but it's your own mind, right? So that's why I want you to tell our viewers out there, your personal thing is you're compromised, but why should they go get vaccinated?
No, I mean, you never heard me ever say somebody should go get vaccinated if they don't want to. I never come out of my mouth at all. That's a choice. People need to make a choice.
But the government is saying that people in long-term care, like hospital sectors, all of the folks that you represent, they're frontline workers who are basically being exposed on a daily, should get vaccinated. What is your take on that?
Well, look at it this way, Kelly. I think people are smart enough to know that, yes, it's not mandatory now, but you know, these employers and the government, what they're going to do is like, well, if you're not vaccinated, we're not going to give you hours.
So then what will be the union's standpoint on if they say it's mandatory and if you're not vaccinated, you cannot come to work? If it's a personal choice, what will be the stance
you
there?
can file a grievance. There's discriminatory things that you could probably claim. But if it's a government mandate, that'll be challenged for sure, right? Because everybody has a choice. Everybody has a choice, and it's happening now. Even before, if you didn't get your flu shot, could you go to work? Would they put you on the schedule?
The thing is, with the flu shot, you had an alternative. Like you could go to your doctor and get the Tamiflu, and not everybody. You might say you go to the doctor and you're taking the Tamiflu, but you don't have to be actually inducing that, right? But with the COVID-19 vaccination, there is not an alternative.
Not yet.
Not yet.
What I think is going to happen is, I think they're going to make it in a way that they're not going to force you, but they're going to make it very difficult for you if you don't get it.
I think so, because right now, even where I work, they're saying that if you haven't been vaccinated, that you have to be swabbed every day. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Who wants to be swabbed every day?
Yeah, I told them that I don't mind them cleaning my nose every day, but I mean, like, you know, I want to hear, is there anything that one could do in order not to go through that on a daily basis?
No, I mean, there's very little that people can do, because unfortunately it's a global pandemic, so it's not just a thing that is like the flu that will come and go. It's here and we're trying to figure it out, and there's not a lot of answers, and so it's difficult, because on one side you're dealing with the testing every day, the decision on getting your shot or not, your work situation, your financial situation, and there's all of these situations that healthcare members are thinking about, and so that makes it even more difficult for people. So I don't know, there's not a lot of answers, and the government obviously isn't doing enough to move the needle to make it easier for people, which is unfortunate.
I totally like, I'm hearing you, but because I'm basically in the pot right now, it's like it's not really registering, because all I'm seeing myself doing is saying no until. You understand? Because I don't know how that's going to like work with my system. Anyways, we're going to switch gears, and I'm going to ask you about the wage cap. I just heard it the other day.
Bill 124?
Bill 124. I want to know, what is the union stance on that?
We've always been against the wage cap. I mean, but you know what's surprising? What's interesting, Kelly? Is that why are people so surprised that the conservatives did this? This is a conservative thing.
But the thing is, we're in the middle of a pandemic.
But this is a conservative thing, Kelly.
But the thing is, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and when they ask us to stick our necks out there, everybody did. The few who ran away, okay. But is this our pay? Is this how they pay us back?
Yeah. This is the conservative way. This is the conservative way. Don't get it twisted. I don't care what party people are from. The Conservative Party, whether it's a federal or the provincial, this is their game. Big business, minimal government, no intervention, let businesses run free. That's it. Look at what's happened, Kelly. They've allowed these employers, all the for-profit employers, to kill thousands of people. No penalties, no citations, no warnings, no fines, no nothing. And all of them were negligent. Come on. That should just tell people the way this government operates. And that's what I think is important for people like your viewers to understand. This is a conservative way of dealing with politics. This is how they do it. They cap wages for public workers. That's number one. Whether we're in a pandemic or not, they would have done this. So we shouldn't be surprised.
The question that I want to ask is the sick pay benefits. Like, I'm not the only one who saw out there that Ford was exposed to COVID and he got to isolate for 10 days, right? But yet still, he's only giving us, 10 days sick leave benefits. Not
2 days.
3 days.
3 days.
3 days. Now the thing is,
$200.
he was only exposed. Did he get his shot? He was only exposed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he would have access to a COVID-19 test to figure out if he's positive or negative. With your members right now, if we are exposed, we get the test, whether it's the rapid testing or the nasal pharyngeal, right?
Yeah.
The minute they find out that you're negative, you can return to work the next day. So I want you to ask Mr. Ford, how come he gets to stay home for 10 days, but yet still we're going back to work probably after 2-3 days after the testing? What is your view on that? And talk to him.
Well, let me just say this. People out there, stop listening to the words. The words are great. The words are great. It's the actions that people really need to pay attention to. And the actions have shown that he does not care. He doesn't care. It's one way for him and his politicians who can go off and take a trip to the Bahamas or the Caribbean with no penalties. It's one thing for him to be able to isolate when he's just exposed. It's one thing for big business to get millions of our money, taxpayers' money, to go pay shareholders through a pandemic, right? But for the workers who are on the front line, who he claims to appreciate, respect, and love, and are buddies with, and all that stuff that he says, what do they get? They get Bill 124. They get the employers being able to rake in millions of dollars in profits and not putting it back in the front line. They get no access to the proper PPE at the beginning of the pandemic. The seniors get nothing. Their family members get, right? So if we start adding up all of the things, Kelly, people should know what Ford is about. And so Ford, if you're listening, watching, like, stop talking and start doing for the people. Because remember what his campaign slogan was? What was it? For the people. But now we know which people he's talking about.
Oh yeah, his people.
Right?
His people. And this is why I keep saying, they all say that they went into office to make a difference. They did make a difference. They made a very bad difference.
Yeah.
Because the first thing he did was cap the nursing envelope, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So with the union hands being tied in going into the homes and making differences for their members, right? And you can't help but to understand why a member would say, the union is doing nothing for us. You understand? Because basically there are certain things that you cannot do because of the pandemic. He reserved that right. What can you tell that mother, grandma, daughter, sister, aunt out there, or uncle, or you identify however you want to identify? What can you say to them for them to believe you that you are there, the union is there for them?
Well, I mean, the thing is, Kelly, is what I just said about Ford, I'm going to say about myself. Don't listen to my words. Just think about the actions that we've done. And I think over the last 15 months, we've done concrete things to help our members. One, the advocacy work. So that's number one. All of the campaign work that we've done to raise the voices of our members to government. So that's like things that you can touch. You can see that we've done that work. We rerouted all of our staff internally to take calls from members. So members were going through a hard time. If they needed mental health support, if they needed to talk to somebody, we had all of the lines opened up on our member resource center. So we did that early on to make sure that as members going through stuff and they needed to talk. But we didn't just step there. We called members. So if we've heard that members were off on isolation or, if they were sick, if they got exposed, we had people calling them. We had staff calling them every day. It wasn't like one time or two. Every day we were doing that work. And so those are the tangible things. Then we did the turkeys. We got the app. We had the $75. We did the Airbnb just in case. And we had a lot of our members, I can't name the names, but had to access that because of things going on at home or domestic issues. So we did So don't listen to my words. Just think about what we've done for our members. Is it enough? Absolutely not.
It can never be.
It can never be enough because the struggle is so deep. It's deeper than what I can imagine people are going through, what I know people are going through, but it's deeper than that because I'm only getting what people want to tell me, right? Or people want to share with me. But I know, think you going from 2-3 jobs at one point in your life, then the pandemic hits and you going only to work one? What do you mean? What does that mean for you and your family that you have, whether you're a single mom or dad that I know that's going through that, right? What do you mean I can only work one job, one income?
And that's the thing that the government seem not to realize, that we never wanted to sit home and rake in money from the government. We rather to do the 2-3 jobs because we all come here to make better of our lives, right? And when he did that, he put people in a very bad situation. So can you tell us, what are you guys doing in order for this $3 not to go away? Because this $3 make a big difference, you know.
I'm gonna tell you this, Kelly. And I'm just being honest, right? Because that's what we're here to talk about, honesty, right? And just straight talk.
Straight talk.
Is that if folks think that this government is going to do anything for them between now and the next election, probably not. Probably not. They've already calculated at the government level that they've done enough. And the last remaining months for them are probably going to be focused on the PR. So just watch the next few months, Kelly. Watch, and you already see it. I'm gonna point something out for you if you don't mind, right?
Go ahead.
So, when the commission report came out, right? So think about this: if you're a leader, a true leader, you come out and you stand with your people. If there's whether it's bad or good, you take the good, but you also take the bad. Right? You don't hide when it's bad and then come out only for the good. So think about what Ford has been doing. If you're watching the press conferences, Minister Fullerton, I felt bad for her that morning when I seen her at 10 o'clock in the morning when she had to go and talk about the long-term care issues, and she was getting so much pressure, and then she had to run away in the interview. You remember that?
Yes, I saw her leave. Yes.
But you know what was interesting? That the woman had to stand there by herself. And think about it. You're the leader. You're supposed to be standing with your people.
But this is why I do believe that this man is not a team player.
Yes.
So therefore, we cannot expect him to do anything good by us because he doesn't know what that is.
But you know what, Kelly? They know. They know because you know what I know? I know thousands of our members have reached out to their MPPs. I know thousands of our members have picked up the phone and called, have emailed their MPP. So they know. They're just choosing not to do because their philosophy is we support the businesses. So basically they're saying they're on the side of your employers. So we're going to work with them more than we're going to work for you. With pandemic or not, that's their philosophy, right? And so for me, the next year has to be about education for our members so that they know, they understand, come June 2nd, 2022, that's the time where you remember what you just went through, regardless if you got the $3 or not. That's some little hush money.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Basically, that's what that is.
Yeah, so people just have to remember, man.
So as you spoke about education right now, and we all know that education is power. Educated membership is a powerful membership. Yeah. What, in terms of education, can you let the viewers know what are you guys doing in terms of education? Is there something that is in place? Like, explain to them. Yeah,
so June 2nd, people can tune in. We're going to send out an email, I believe, on Tuesday for a 1 year out. We're going to begin a series of educationals for our members on Politics 101. How does it really work? What does it mean to you as a healthcare worker? I mean, there's other education going on, but for me, I'm a big fan of like political education because it impacts our members' lives so much, and we pay so little attention to it because I know everybody's busy, but it's one of those things, Kelly. Like I was going back to the example of my friend told me, 25 people in his ride-in. If 25 people in his ride-in like draw up a petition and say that there's an issue, they pay attention to it. We need that across the province so that these politicians understand how mad healthcare workers are. But it takes the education. It takes people getting aware of how it actually impacts them on daily life. And so we're going to start a series of that.
Okay, so not everybody is computer savvy.
Yeah.
Not everybody is electronic savvy, right? And also on the same hand, everyone learn differently.
Yeah.
Some people don't do very well online.
Yeah.
Some people need that person-to-person interaction.
Yeah.
How do you figure you're going to navigate through that? How are you going to sort that out? Because it's something that you really do need to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's gonna be challenging, but I mean, I think while we're restrictive for virtual. That's the name of the game here, right? And so, I mean, we could try to be creative, but the creative is limited, you know. And so once we get out of this virtual environment and we can move to more in person, we're definitely going to be investing a lot in more in person sessions as we go along. But for now, we're going to work within the confines of what's going on, right? And do the best that we can, right? Mm-hmm. You know, everything's pre-recorded or recorded on the session. So, you know, somebody can get an email and click the link to watch it if they want on their own. Or it's those type of things that makes it more accessible. And because you're right, not everybody's computer savvy, but we're trying to get to as many people as we can, you know? I
understand. So I'm kind of trying to wrap it up now. Okay. So I'm going to kind of hit you with this. I know that your membership has suffered like membership loss, right? As in some of your members passed away due to the pandemic, right? I want to know what kind of support did you have for their family, whether it's financial or whatever. Like what did you guys do, or what is in place just so going forward, if and God forbid that any more should pass away, but can you tell them what is in place? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, we the officers met and we talked about that, and we do have well, let me just say, we were in contact with all of the family members when the situations occurred. We lost our healthcare worker. So whether it was talking to somebody in New York because they didn't have any, the member didn't have any family here, and coordinating the legalities, the WSIB claims, and all of those, we were doing all of that, right? Again, we don't promote it, we just do it, right? And we also have a small amount of money that we give.
But why wouldn't you promote it though?
Because, Kelly, those are the things you just do from the heart. So like when Charlene and I...
if your members don't know that they can come to you, like in the sense that you can call the office, because at that point in time, everybody was just so confined, like in protecting themselves and all of that. I mean, why wouldn't you like put it out there that, look, because not everybody knows how to do the WSIB thing and all of that stuff. So why wouldn't you just put it out there?
So we promote all of that. What I'm saying is, when I say we don't promote it, it's not like I'm going to be like, hey, yesterday I talked to the woman from New York.
Why not?
No, when Arlene Reed and Sharon Roberts died, like we were talking to their family, making sure that everything was set up for them and everything. We promote the WSIB line for our members to know that if you need help, call the MRC. They have support for you to file W6 forms or W8 forms, all of those forms, right? But what I'm talking about is not promoting the fact that, you know, I talked to Arlene Reed's brother in New York. Like, those are the things that we
Ford talks about when somebody does something in his what he wants them to do. So if you're doing good too, why wouldn't you do that? Pat yourself on the back. Why not?
I pat myself internally, right? It's not a thing that I just need people to validate and say, oh, well, that's a good thing that you've done. It's just, you know, that's the right thing to do.
Of course.
Make sure people are, if they're going through a hard, they just lost somebody, you know? We try to be there as much. So I know Charlene's called, Mina's talked to people. And so that's what we've done as officers to, like, you know, chip in. And yes, there's a little small financial thing that we give to the family, you know, But we do our thing. We try to do, right? We're trying to do as much as we can.
So I'm kind of going to wrap it up.
Okay.
And if there's anything that you would have liked to address or like to say, this is your opportunity to do that right now. The camera is right there,
All right,
Tyler, and I'm hoping that you will actually bless me and come back again.
Of course.
So I'm going to ask you. The floor is yours. Go ahead, take it away.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you.
Anytime.
When I seen the first video, Kelly, and I think I told you this already, that I was excited because I think this is what needs to happen more of. Just real talk. No filter, no scripts, no, I got to be polished.
I didn't ask you one question that everything came from the head. Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you putting this on. I think it's amazing. You've done a great job at the first couple that you've done. So I'm proud to be like part of the first two. But I want to say this to folks. The need to really respect what healthcare workers have gone through in the last 15 months. Like the need to do that is like right now. And the way people can do that is not buy into the Ford rhetoric anymore. And not buy in, because I know a lot of our members and a lot of people out there voted for him. That's how he got elected and they got a majority.
You know what? And I'm sorry. I wanted to ask you because I've been seeing this all over Facebook. This UPSWA or UPSU, whatever those people are.
Yeah.
I wanted you to talk to them because this is your opportunity also. So tell them about the misguided information that these people are all about. So go ahead, Tyler, bang it out.
Yeah, so for the PSWs that are watching, that are out there, there's a group that is claiming to be your voice called the Ontario PSW Association. OPSWA, I think is the acronym, right? And so this group, we've been at odds with this group for a very long time because we've seen the writing on the wall with this group for years. And the first example of it, and I'm going to share it because it's public record and everybody knows. So the Care Partners members, there's 3,000 home care members who decided they had enough of low wages, low standards, low everything. They love their clients because all healthcare workers love their clients, right?
Of course.
That's the first and foremost. But these workers bonded together and said, we've had enough of this employer not giving us what we deserve. And so
Tyler, the passion you almost kicked my table over.
I'm passionate because this one really burns me, Kelly, because here's what happened. They exercised their right to strike, okay? And everybody has their freedom of choice and they can be with whoever they want to be with. They chose to take action for themselves because of the extreme low conditions in home care. And they went out on strike. And you know what the head of the OPSWA said? She came out against them and said, oh, you're abandoning your residents. Oh, and trying to guilt people. Think about that. And then what happened after that is she got more comfortable with the employers. So all of her sponsors, most of her sponsors are the employers. So think about that dynamic now. The same individuals of these organizations who are trying to suppress, disrespect, keep the wages down in home care are the ones sponsoring her. So how can you, as a voice of PSWs, really be the voice of PSWs if you're getting money from the same people that are trying to suppress you? Come on. Right? And so that's one example. We have members, Kelly, members of ours that were part of OPSWA that ask questions, simple questions. If you're a member, if you pay money into something, right? You get to ask questions.
Of course.
And the person in charge should be able to answer, whether they like it or not. As soon as some of our members that have reported to us have asked questions of the president, Miranda, she's eliminated them from any communication, from the Facebook group, from any emails.
Because he has a lot to hide.
Right? So what are you hiding? If you're the voice of PSWs, what are you hiding? And so we know what's going on over there. We understand that is not a legitimate voice for PSW, and so we're urging folks not to sign their memberships because they're charging, I think,
I want you to look there and tell them.
Not to sign OPSWA memberships if you're a PSW. Be very aware of how they operate, what they're doing. They are not in it for the frontline healthcare workers. They're in it for themselves, plain and simple. And so
Plain and simple.
that's I kick the chair because I'm getting excited about this because now you give me
and with that being said, and I'm going to be inviting you back. But for now, it's a wrap, and I just want to say to you, thank you, Tyler, for coming, and to all my viewers, to all my subscribers, my old subscribers, thank you guys for riding with me. To my new subscribers, welcome. And if you're hitting this channel for the first time, go ahead and hit up that subscribe button and select the bell so that you won't miss any more of my uploads. And share this video, guys. Like, comment, leave whatever your ideas are, whatever thoughts you have about this interview down below, and share with your mama, papa, sister, auntie, uncle, brother, cousin, and your enemies them. Until next time, peace out.